You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Jamal Javangi, the number one trick to stop feeling not enough. Ladies, oh my gosh. Well, you know, there's nothing better than a second date after a first date that goes well, especially when you weren't expecting that you were even going to have a second date. And that's what's happened today because our guest, Jamal Javangi, we did a whole episode. We recorded it. We were like vibing. We could have talked for hours. And there was a tech difficulty. So you're going to be here for our second date. It's going to be amazing. Jamal is a best-selling author, podcaster, full-time life coach. He's a communications and cultural analyst. He's an author. He's got 20 years plus working with people in various stages of their struggle and challenges. He's traveled through lots of cultures around the globe. He has discovered the common root of human loneliness and suffering and has so much insight. See, and now I'm not just reading this. I know because I talked to him for like an hour. With so many amazing solutions to help you become liberated, empowered, and connected. I am so excited about our conversation. So if you were going to look, so I'm just going to go with a completely different tack on this sailing journey we're on together. If you were going to think about all of the different cultural influences that you have you've experienced in your life, and I know you have this amazing story around your parents and being immigrants, and then the work that you've done, you know, up to like, you know, being invited to the White House. So I never asked you the question before. What is the common root? Like, what is that in our humanity?
Well, yes, it's a fantastic question. And yeah, I feel very blessed, very fortunate to have grown up with such diverse parents. You know, my dad he actually grew up in East Africa, but his family of origin is from India. So, so there's that part of things. So you have the Indian influence, Asian influence, then you have African influence as well. So there's a combination there. And then my mother grew up in Ohio, actually southeastern Ohio, which is kind of the Appalachian community. It's because she's kind of a small town girl.
Wow.
A lot of generational poverty, though, on both sides with my father and my mother's side. So what I realized early on is that it doesn't matter really where you're from, that people, number one, they want to survive. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't go beyond that. They don't know why they want to survive. So the question is, and I came into the world. So my mom and dad primary focus was getting through the day, just making it, just trying to figure it out, trying to survive, pay the bills. But I came into the world on their shoulders. And so I was asking the next question. So when you're in poverty, you can't think about the next question. You can only think about survival. But I came into the world thinking about the next question. So I feel like I was set up for success. I was set up to go deeper because the question I had was like, well, so what if you survive? Then what? What's the point of surviving? Why do you even want to survive? Is it to live? And what does it mean to live? And that's the question I was asking. I think everybody, to answer your question, wants to survive. Doesn't matter where you're from, what culture you're from, what nation, background, religious, doesn't matter. Everyone wants to survive. But then ultimately, everybody wants to thrive. They want to live. And I think that's what unifies all of us. We all want to live and we all want to live well.
Yeah, I think that this idea of asking the second question is so profound because in my experience talking to so many people, especially when I first meet them, you know, they find me like online or on Instagram, right? Whatever. And they have this felt sense, Jamal, of like that something more. But their lack of belief in themselves or that it's possible becomes so strong that they sort of default into a different kind of survival, like so different from like, you know, do I have food? Am I safe? Do I have a place to sleep tonight? Do you think that we've gotten better at surviving? And so asking that second question and wanting more is harder or less believable with the way our society is today?
Yeah, in some ways we have, right? I mean, just think about going back 100, 200 years ago. The bulk of your time and energy as a human being on the planet was pretty much spent getting water, getting food, making sure you had, you know, if it was a cold environment, enough wood to burn, you know, a lot of it was just centered around actual physical survival, cooking and getting your food and all this stuff. Now, you know, with technology and the way the world is, a lot of that, you know, you could turn on a tap, water comes right out. You know, you go to the grocery store, they have magically made the food appear on these shelves, right? It's just there, right? You just go get it. So a lot of that is done for us now. And I actually think it's a huge part of our collective evolution as a species.
Yeah.
Allows us to go a little deeper, but there's a different kind of survival. So there's two different kinds of survival. It's still survival and it's a problem. Because we're not here to live in survival. In my understanding, none of us are here to live for just survival. But so once the material aspects of food, water, shelter are taken care of, which are really all about safety, right? It's all about safety. Then there's the deeper drivers of our survival base design start to come into play. So for example, right, we'll talk about what I call, there's 4 core survival drivers that human beings have. First one is safety or security.
Okay.
So that's the first one. The majority, like I said, the majority of our time previously was spent just on that one. But that's kind of been taken care of for us. We're safe for the most part. Food's at the store. We got housing. We got roof over our head for the most part. You know, bills are paid. At least today they're paid. You know, we feel okay. That's safety. But the other part of the deeper driver that we all have is we want to be free. We want to feel liberated, that I can choose what to do with my life, that I don't have to do something. I get to do. So we all want to, and a lot of us don't feel that. We feel like we still have to do a lot of things, like I have to go to work, or I have to take care of my children, or I have to, the shoulds, right? So that's survival. That's still survival. So we're trying to get to freedom. That's the second driver. It's freedom. The third driver is the sense of, and this is a deep one. The third one is significance. It's a sense of, do I measure up? Like, am I okay? Does my life matter? Is there something noteworthy about me? Am I worth any amount of attention and accolades that I seek? Like, am I worth that? It's a deep sense of significance. Yeah. And we all need it. It's a driver. It's a part of our survival. We need to feel significant. We need to feel free. We need to feel safe. So none of these are wrong or bad. They're actually very essential that we experience these. Yeah. Right. So what's number 4? Is love and connection. Right. We need to feel that we belong, that we're connected to a tribe, a community. We need to feel just deeply loved. That there are people who we matter to, and that people that matter to us. And without these 4 drivers being, now when a person feels stuck in life, sometimes I like to ask people this question: how's your life? I'll ask them, how's your life? How's it going? It's a hard question, right? People sometimes will say, you know, what do you mean? How's my life? Like, how's my financial life? How's my relational? Like, what are you asking? I was like, no, just how's your life in general? How does it feel to you? Yeah. And the people who feel stuck, if they're being honest, they say, you know, I just feel like I'm hitting a ceiling. I feel stuck. They may not know consciously why they're stuck, but typically it comes down to one or more of these 4 areas that they feel at a standstill in. That's so simple and profound. So I interrupted you, but can I ask it? Can I go deeper on these? Of course.
So, because you brought up some interesting things. So I was thinking about when I went and sold my house and I lived in this RV, right?
Right.
For a year. And I was thinking about water. Okay. So I was living in a nice RV, right? But still, like, there was a limit on water, right?
Sure.
Like, you had to think about, like, where's the next dump station or the next fill up station? Sometimes I didn't know if there's going to be water coming out of the tap. Am I going to sleep in a Walmart? Like, or am I going to find a better like place to sleep? But what's interesting is, and then I would go, like, when our RV was being fixed, I remember this so vividly the first time. So we were in the road for like 3 or 4 months and I went and stayed at a friend's house. And first of all, I was just like, I could take a long ass shower. You know what I mean? And then I was watching her in the kitchen, like cleaning vegetables, and she was leaving the faucet on. I mean, okay, I know there's a water storage, but generally, you know what I mean? Like, scrubbing something, going over to this other side of the kitchen, coming back, finishing it, turning. And I was like, wow, space, water. Right? Because, I hadn't had the ease. So it got me to this deeper question, which I still am always fascinated by asking myself. So then how do I know, Jamal, if those are the 4 things, if I want something or I need something, but not in a survival way, but like, what does my soul really need? What do I really need? Because like, we don't need very much. We just want stuff.
Yeah, it's a great question you're asking. Thank you for that. So the question is, is this just a trivial want, or do I really need this? Like, is this? So I like to ask people this question, and again, not from a place of judgment, because a lot of us have, depending on how you grew up, right? Depending on your family structure, your social norms, whatever you were conditioned. Some people feel like, oh, I shouldn't want this, or I shouldn't want that. But I always say, no, it's okay to want what you want. It's okay to want what you want. No judgment. So if it's a car, if it's this relationship, if it's this promotion, this job, whatever it may be, allow yourself to want it. But I would say this, go deeper, ask a deeper question. So here's a question I like to ask around any desire. Anything I think I may want. Say, what is it? If I picture myself with this new car, this new job, this new relationship, whatever it is, if I have it, what would I feel? What do I think I would experience? Because that's really, right? There's always something deeper. For example, let's just talk about money, right? For a moment.
Yeah,
some people want more money.
Most people probably want more money.
more money. But I've actually never met somebody who truly wanted more money. Ever.
For the sake of money. They say they want more money. Right. Right.
Because what is money? Is it piece of paper? Like, you want that paper? You want the metal? Now it's like numbers on a theoretical screen in cyberspace somewhere. But what is it really? And so I use my dad's example, where he came from, a lot of financial insecurity growing up where he did, and the struggle. So my dad always felt like he needed more money, and that's understandable. Totally get it. So, but my dad wanted more money because my dad would say, if we had more money, then we wouldn't have to worry.
Right.
We don't have to worry about what I'm going to eat, how we're going to pay the bills, how we're going to make it. I could have peace of mind. So for my dad, money equaled security, safety. So what people want is safety. Now, some people, money equals freedom. If I had more money, I could be free. I could go places and do things, So people want freedom. Again, we're back to those 4 drivers: safety, freedom. Or for some people, if I had more money, I would feel like I made it. Like I have something to show for my life. I'm significant. That's about significance. Or, hey, if I had more money, I'd have something to offer people, and maybe people would love me, right? That's all survival, right? So the question is, if I had more money, what would I feel? That's actually what you really want. And again, the money is just a means to an end, but it can say that about anything. A relationship's a means to an end. A career's a means to an end.
Totally. So I was taking And I still am. I'm taking the Science of Happiness course. And it's this famous course that many people have taken. It's Yale University's like most popular class on happiness. And this woman is teaching it. And she talks about, and this is like an old statistic, like maybe 2014, 15. So it's pretty old, right? But she was talking about how people are not getting happier, right? Even though we have more stuff and access to more stuff and more access to opportunity than we ever have. I mean, and that's a 10-year-old stat. So we've gotten more opportunity and less happy. And so when you think about that, what do you call it? Like a mythology, a story that we are all carrying around of like, if I got more stuff, my ego says, this means happy, so get more stuff, be more happy. How do you start to unwind that and unpack that when you still obviously have goals and desires? Like you said, like you want the car, like there's nothing wrong with the car. How does someone who's listening go like, well, how do I unpack that, Jamal? Because I still want some shit, like I still want to make more money.
Totally. And again, going back to that, understanding that, it's always a means to an end. It's never the end. But the illusion, the mind doesn't understand it, right? Because the mind, we have two eyes, we have two ears, all the senses are external. So the mind interprets that, hey, what I want to feel will be external. When the external thing comes, I will feel this. People do this all the time, right? They get married thinking, when we get married, I will feel loved, I'll feel connected, right? Or we do this with, like to go back to my father, right? It's if I have this amount of money, I'll feel safe. But the problem is because we don't do the deeper work, which is asking the question, what is it that I want to feel? If I got the money, if I get the relationship, if whatever it may be, if you visualize yourself with that, what do you feel? What do you think you would feel? The mind will say, well, you would feel safe, or you'd feel loved, or you'd feel free. Okay. So again, I like to ask somebody this, like, well, for example, in a conversation with my father, I'll say, well, Dad, if you had X amount of dollars, you would feel safe, right? Or feel peace of mind, and he would say, yeah. And I said, well, how safe do you think you would want to feel, right? It's a ridiculous question. Nobody ever says, I'd like to be about 50% safe or 75% safe. Everybody wants 100%. Like I want to be all the way.
I want it all the time, always.
Yeah, I want to feel 100% safe, right? Nobody wants to feel unsafe at any measure. If I told my wife, I'm like, I love you 98, 97% of the way, right? Because, someone says, well, how much do you love me? Like 98%.
Right.
You're always it's offensive, right? You're going to go, well, why not 100? Where's the other two?
Yeah. What do I need to do to get to 100?
Because we all want infinite. We what we want to feel, the state of being. So whatever it is that we want, money, houses, accolades, significance, love, whatever it is, it's because we want to feel something infinite. We want to experience something infinite in nature. And the problem with anything that's not infinite, like anything that's finite, is that which is finite can never get you to the infinite. That's the problem. It can't get you. It's the wrong vehicle. Like, for example, if you were going to go to the moon, you don't get in your car, right? The car will never, it'll just drive in circles around the earth. Right. It will never take you to the moon because it's the wrong vehicle. But what we're trying to do, here's what the mind is doing. It's deluding us. It's trying to get us to the infinite through the finite. Money is finite. Relationships are finite. Accolades are finite. It's all finite. And it will never get you to the infinite. And we don't understand that, right? And that's what causes people to stay in this hamster wheel, chasing the thing you'll never get. It's like counting, right? To use a math example, right?
Yeah.
If you use numbers, right? Theoretically, and again, I say theoretically in quotes because they tell us if you count high enough, you can get to infinity, right? You just keep counting. You don't run out of numbers, right? You just keep going and going and going to infinity, but you actually never get to infinity. If you just keep counting, a computer can just keep counting infinitely and it will never get to infinity. Why is that? And there's a reason. It's a very simple reason why numbers will never get you to the infinite. Is because think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are finite numbers. They have finite value. That which is finite can never get you to the infinite. There's only one number that gets you to the infinite.
Yeah. This is like so profound in its simplicity, which is usually how shit is. But right, because I know that you probably spend as much time I do talking to people about trying to make them what I call solution aware, which is like, yes, I know you want the strategy. Yes, I know you want to know what to say or, you know, how to win, right? What are the rules so I can win, right? But the feeling state is internal. And what I hear you saying is that once we recognize that and we learn how to tap into that, then while we're in the journey of fulfilling our dreams as humans, because we all want to have experiences as humans, right?
Sure. Totally. Yeah.
Then we feel we're happier.
Yes. Actually, the thing we want, and that's the thing I say often to folks, and there's a process to it, but we need to work on the infinite state, not last, because we're programmed, right? We are programmed by society, by poverty, by lots of things to think. And here's what we're programmed to do. We're programmed to work really hard. If you work really hard, then maybe you can have some things like money, like houses, like whatever it may be, right? You can have some things, relationships, whatever it is that you want, quote unquote, want. If you work really hard, you can have the things you want. And then I asked the question. So then what would happen once you work hard and you get the stuff? Then what? Then we can just be, right? That's the idea. That's how we're programmed. Then you can just be.
Then
we may call that retirement.
Yeah.
We call that whatever. Like I'll be able to relax and just be. But that is literally a disastrous recipe. It's like counting to infinity. You never get there. So here's what I teach people to do. And I'm very biased, but the end of poverty and the end of suffering is when we invert this. And it works for anybody. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you believe, right? If you just invert it. Okay. You start with being. If you start with being, I know that people are like, what does that mean? Right. That's a process. You have to learn, right? We've not been taught this. We have to start with being. But if you be, then you can do from the being. It's an actual joy to work, to do. We're all here to work. I'm convinced none of us are going to be satisfied if we were just locked into a room and just laid there. We're just going to like we call that prison, right? If we just laid around and didn't do anything. No, we're here to do things, to explore, to create, to experience. But that doing, that we call that work, that can come from being. When you start with being, that's not survival, right? When you start with being, you start with abundance. It's an abundant state. It's 100% of an abundant state. Being leads to doing. And then if you do, of course you're going to have, right? Money will come, things will come, whatever you need will come, whatever you want will also come. So, but we have to start with being. We don't end up with being. That's what we're taught. Work really hard, have some things so you can be. No, you must start with being. And this is because that is the abundant state. That's actually the infinite state we're trying to get to. We have to start.
I love that. And then resourcing. So here's what I always think about too, about we have to learn how to resource that, right? Because the old way is running around. So I have to use iPhones because they change the plug literally at like every year or so, right? And so you're like running around being like, can I charge my phone here? Can I charge my phone there? Do you have a charger? Do you have a charger? Right? And then
it's a good analogy.
You're like, right? You're like, shit, my battery's running out. Like I don't have enough. I don't have money. I don't have, right? Like, and you're looking for all these things to plug it in, all our addictions, all our coping mechanisms. And so, guys, we got to get the universal charger. That's it, source, like divine, like soul, however you want to do that. Because otherwise, gosh darn it, it's exhausting.
Yes, absolutely. Totally, totally. But you know, that's where life becomes magical, is when we learn how to be. And again, being is free. And a lot we don't it's free to be. You can
You
do
and
it. We
me?
have to, yeah, we can learn how to be, but
Right.
the actual state and act of being is free. You would be amazed at the inspiration, the guidance, the strategy, the insight that comes from that stillness that's within you when we learn how to be. But that's really where the abundance is found. And that's how you can create abundance in the world. Whatever that looks like, it's different for everybody, right? What's abundant for me may be look different externally than what's abundant for you. But when we operate from being, we can create that magical life. And it's a gift. You're here to live well, however that
Mm.
looks for you. We're all here for that.
I love that. And I would say, like, if people are listening and like, because I catch myself when I start to go into the how and
Right.
the worry,
Yeah.
like I am like, oh, I'm in a fear state. Oh, I'm in a whatever, right? Like, and then it's like, if you don't have that awareness, then you'll just go deeper down that rabbit hole, further and further away from that state of being. So I would say, like, the takeaway is like, the more you start like tripping about like how and when and like what's going to happen, that's your clue that you're actually walking away from the pot of gold.
Oh, really good. Love that. Love how you put that.
We
So
can make
true.
that into a clip. Let's make it a clip.
Yes. Very nice.
This whole damn episode is a clip with Jamal Javangi. Javangi or Javangi?
Javangi. Yep.
Javangi. I love that name so
It's kind of like
much.
Jumanji, like the movie Jumanji, but with the
Oh
V.
yeah, Javangi. It's just like, your wife's really lucky. Did she take that name?
She did. Yeah, she did.
Yeah. I'd like to just spell that all day long.
I think.
Okay, I know you have to run, but like, last thing is this. When you think about, and last time we talked, your father was like the source of like so many amazing lessons and learnings, and I was like, thank you, Dad, right? Like,
Yes.
such an amazing thing. If you were going to think about where you are today, I'm totally gonna surprise you with this question, Jamal. If you were gonna think about your life today, what do you think the lesson that you're being asked to learn in your life is, following this sort of model that we're talking about, like the lessons that your dad's struggle taught you? What did you think your soul's learning now?
You know, yes, I love that question. Yeah, I'm really passionate about peace. The concept of peace. And I know some people think of peace as passivity, or they think of it as maybe in the political realm or something, but I'm convinced, and I think what I'm learning is that when you end the wars, right? When you end the conflicts, with all conflict in the world, right? Whether it's countries, whether it's relational, it all comes from, it's all a manifestation or mirror of some internal conflict within myself. I mean, ultimately, we can boil it down. That and I'm passionate. I'm really passionate about creating a peaceful world, right? So what are the things that are necessary? So what I'm learning in my own life is that when I end the wars within myself, the resistance, the points of resistance, there's things I don't want to feel, right? That's where I boil it down for me. There are things I'm afraid of. There's things I'm dreading in my life. And the strategies I've employed that most of us are taught to, we're taught to actually go to war with those things. Oh, I don't like the way this person made me feel. I don't like the way this situation makes me feel. So I want to either avoid it, run from it, flight, or I want to fight it, attack it. And fight or flight, right, is the right. It's the conflict that we're seeing in the world, right? But to end that conflict, we have to turn inward, and we have to be willing to face and to learn how to feel the things we don't want to feel, not because they're true, but because it's in the space I'm creating to feel. And this is the deeper work. This is what we're teaching people how to do, how to turn within, because that's also the source of the infinite dimension where you can experience the thing you want, which is peace, right? But in order to get to peace, we have to actually get present with the conflict, not to resist the conflict, to get present with the conflict, the deeper things behind that, and learn to show up for that part of us. And then as we learn how to end the war within, we create a peaceful life, which means we create a peaceful world in our world, which then we contribute to the collective, which is also a peaceful world. And that's the work I'm passionate about. That's what I'm here to learn how to do and how to do that.
I love that. You just described my last year before I decided to like sell the house and get in the RV, right? I didn't want to deal with any of it. Like, I didn't want to deal with empty nest. I didn't want to deal like with my husband. I didn't want to deal with I just didn't want to deal, right? It was like this autopilot, just, like it all looks good. It's fine, right? And then going on that journey was so rewarding because it was like, oh, come on in. Let me show you where there's space to grow. Come on in, little Marni. It's okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, oh, you're quite welcome. And I love the story that you shared when you were on my show talking about that very thing, because you were willing at some point to face that, right? To say, man, I'm running this massive company here.
Yeah, right. Letting go of the need for external, I was just walking around with my charger for my iPhone 5. Big fat thing. It only worked that every once in a while I'd find a gym that had equipment from the 80s or 90s. I'd be like, oh, do you have my iPod? Thank you for being here, Jamal. I know you have to cruise, but you are such a light and you're just freaking brilliant. Ladies and gents who are listening, definitely go in the show notes and check out jamaljavangi.com. He's got an amazing book called Living for a Living. He's got a great podcast. I was on it, called The Love Cast. You definitely want to get into this guy's world. He is divine in everything that he shares. And it's just been a privilege to get to do it twice. Ladies, the name of the show is, you're welcome. Ladies, the name of the show is Life Check Yourself. Oh, my Lanta, so many tidbits in this episode for you to go like, I think I want to focus on being. So figure out how you're going to do it today. Try to be, connect with yourself, plug yourself into your own source, and feel a moment of peace. We can all be part of Jamal's ripple effect. So thank you for being here. Ladies, life check yourself. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning into today's show. Do you ever wake up feeling like you've already run a marathon before the day even begins? Does your coffee need a coffee just to get through the morning? Well, I feel you, and I've been there. Burnout isn't just a buzzword. It's a reality for far too many of us, especially as we navigate life over 40. But here's the good news. You don't have to accept feeling perpetually drained as your new normal. I'm excited to introduce my new flagship, Live Life on Your Terms program. This isn't just another Band-Aid fix or a fluffy self-care promise. This is about real transformation. We're diving deep to tackle the root cause of your burnout, regulate your nervous system, lower your cortisol and adrenaline, and rewire your neural pathways to transform how you feel in your life from the inside out. Imagine this, waking up energized, not by caffeine, but by excitement and passion for the day ahead. Picture yourself managing stress with grace and finding joy in moments big and small. That's not just a dream or a someday. It's within your reach now. So, if you like what you've heard and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working together, here's what I want you to do next. Email me at vip@datingwithdignity.com. Don't wait for one day. Make today your day one so we can create your next chapter. I'm Marni, and I'll talk to you soon.